Officer, I know exactly what you're doing, and that is why I have been recording you. On a rainy night, Captain Royce Bennett stood frozen beside a weathered Honda Civic, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness to illuminate the face of Lila Vance. The black public defender stared back at him with unwavering resolve, her words hanging heavy in the rain-soaked air between them. How does a young public defender with a spotless record end up with 3 kilos of cocaine in her trunk during a routine traffic stop? Bennett's practiced smirk vanished. Confusion flickered across his face, then gave way to anger. His hand moved toward his holster as the rain intensified around them. This traffic stop on a deserted stretch of Millfield's east side had suddenly veered dangerously off script. Lila Vance had built her career defending the defenseless in Millfield, a Rust Belt town where the racial divide ran as deep as its industrial roots. For years as a public defender, she had earned the respect of her clients but the resentment of local law enforcement. She was the daughter of Detective Marcus Vance, a black detective who had been accused of corruption and died by suicide before he could clear his name. The Millfield Police Department's history was checkered with excessive force complaints and suspicious arrests targeting minorities. The city's cramped courthouse processed these cases with assembly line efficiency. For some time, Lila had been documenting patterns in arrests that pointed to systemic corruption. Captain Royce Bennett commanded respect in Millfield. His silver-flecked hair and immaculate uniform projected authority. The press loved him. Bennett's community outreach programs made for excellent photo opportunities. He was celebrated for cleaning up Millfield streets and credited with a significant reduction in crime. Behind closed doors, however, Bennett ran the department with military precision and demanded fierce loyalty. Internal affairs investigations mysteriously dissolved whenever they approached his inner circle. Bennett had blocked multiple inquiries into Detective Marcus Vance's case. When Lila confronted him at her father's funeral, Bennett's sympathetic public face slipped. "Your father chose the easy way out," he had whispered. "Smart man." Lila's Honda crawled through Millfield's east side, a route she deliberately took to avoid police checkpoints. Rain pelted her windshield as she mentally reviewed her cases for the next day. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister Jade. "Still coming for dinner Sunday?" Blue and red lights suddenly flooded her rearview mirror. Lila's stomach knotted as she pulled over, recognizing Captain Bennett's silhouette in the driver's seat. This was not random. Bennett approached with deliberate slowness, raindrops beating on his hat. "License and registration, Miss Vance," he said, his tone professionally courteous, belying the history between them. "What's the reason for the stop, Captain Bennett?" Lila's voice remained measured, years of courtroom discipline keeping her fear contained. "Tail lights out. Dangerous in this weather." Bennett's gaze slid past her to inspect the car interior. Lila checked her rearview mirror. Her tail lights had been working perfectly when she left the office. Through the rain-streaked glass, she noticed a second patrol car pulling up silently, lights off. Officer Langford emerged, staying near the trunk. A third unmarked vehicle parked across the street. 3 officers for a broken tail light. "Step out of the vehicle, please." Bennett's request came with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "Am I being detained?" "Just a routine check, counselor. You understand procedure." Bennett's hand rested casually on his holster. "Unless you have something to worry about." Lila's mind raced. This intersection had no traffic cameras. Her phone was recording audio, but that would not capture whatever they were planning. The rain had chased away potential witnesses. Through her side mirror, she watched Langford circling toward her trunk, speaking quietly into his radio. His hand touched his jacket pocket repeatedly. Bennett's patience thinned. "Miss Vance, step out now or I'll have to consider this resistance." Lila unlocked her door, her heart hammering against her ribs. Whatever they had planned, it was already in motion. The rain intensified as she stood beside her car, water soaking through her blazer and sending a chill deep into her bones. Bennett positioned himself between her and his patrol car, creating a visual barrier. "I'm going to search your vehicle," he announced, his tone suggesting this was not a request. "You don't have probable cause," Lila's legal training kicked in automatically. "I don't consent to a search." Bennett's expression hardened. "I detected the odor of marijuana coming from your vehicle when you rolled down your window. That gives me probable cause." Across the street, a lone figure watched from a darkened storefront. The glow of a phone illuminated their face briefly. Someone was recording. "That's impossible," Lila protested. "There's no marijuana in my car and you know it." Bennett ignored her, nodding to Langford. "Check the trunk." Lila attempted to follow, but Bennett blocked her path. "Stay where you are, Miss Vance." Behind them, Langford popped the trunk latch. The rain provided cover as he slid a hand inside his jacket, removing a plastic bag. His body shielded the movement as he quickly placed the bag under the trunk's carpet lining. "Captain," Langford called out, his voice pitched to Carrie, "you might want to take a look at this." Bennett's mouth twitched with the ghost of a smile before he composed his features into a mask of stern professionalism. "Keep an eye on her," he instructed the third officer, walking toward the trunk. Lila strained to see past them, panic rising in her throat. "What are you doing? This is illegal. You can't plant evidence." The third officer, Delgado, shifted uncomfortably. His eyes darted between Lila and his colleagues, hesitation written across his face. For a split second their eyes met and a flicker of shame crossed his expression. "I know what you're doing," Lila shouted over the rain, loud enough for any recording to capture. "This is a setup." Bennett returned, his expression grave but his eyes gleaming with triumph. "Ms. Vance, you have a serious problem. Would you care to explain this?" He held up a Ziploc bag containing white powder, 3 kilos professionally packed, with a street value of over $150,000. Leela's blood ran cold. "That is not mine. You know damn well it's not mine." Her voice rose, fighting to be heard over the rain. "You just planted that." Bennett's expression shifted to performative disappointment. The prominent public defender carrying narcotics. What a shame. He signaled to Langford. "Cuff her." Langford roughly grabbed Lila's wrists, the cold metal of the handcuffs biting into her skin. "Lila Vance, you're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance." "This is a frame job." Lila struggled against Langford's grip. "You're doing this because of my father, because I've been investigating you." Bennett leaned close, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Your father couldn't prove anything either. Look how that ended for him." Lila's resistance intensified. "I want my phone call. I want my lawyer present for questioning." "Of course," Bennett replied loudly. "You'll have all your constitutional rights, counselor." Officer Delgado retrieved her purse from the passenger seat, carefully avoiding her gaze. As he handed it to Bennett, he hesitated. "Sir, should I log her personal effects now or at the station?" "Station?" Bennett snapped, taking the purse and passing it to Langford, who bagged it as evidence. Langford shoved Lila toward the patrol car with unnecessary force, her shoulder hitting the doorframe. Pain radiated down her arm as she was pushed into the back seat. Through the rain-streaked window, Lila watched Bennett make a call, his expression triumphant. She knew what was happening. Within hours, the story would break. The respected Captain Bennett catches corrupt public defender with drugs. Her career, her father's legacy, her ongoing investigation, all destroyed in a single night. As the cruiser pulled away, Lila glimpsed the storefront across the street. The figure with the phone was gone. The Millfield Morning Herald's website updated with the news. Public defender arrested on drug charges. By morning, Lila's booking photo dominated local news, her exhausted face beneath the headline making her appear guilty already. In the county jail's common area, inmates watched Captain Bennett's press conference on the small television. Lila stood motionless, still wearing yesterday's rain-soaked clothes. "It's always troubling when someone entrusted with upholding justice betrays that trust," Bennett told reporters, his expression appropriately somber. "Ms. Vance's position as a public defender makes this case particularly disappointing." A reporter shouted, "Captain Bennett, is it true Vance was investigating police misconduct?" Bennett's response was practiced. "Ms. Vance has made numerous unsubstantiated allegations against our department over the years. We believe this arrest explains her motivation for attacking the integrity of hard-working officers." The camera cut to District Attorney Conrad. "Effective immediately, Ms. Vance's license to practice law in this county is suspended pending investigation. All her current cases will be reassigned." Lila's clients, mostly poor, mostly minorities, would now face the system without her. Cases she had built for months would collapse. The timing was not coincidental. Her cell phone and laptop were seized as evidence containing all her research on Bennett's department now in his possession. The television showed Bennett shaking hands with Judge Everett Lang, who would preside over her arraignment. An inmate approached, a young woman Lila did not recognize. "They did the same thing to my brother last year," she whispered. "Said they found meth in his car. He's still in prison." The news transitions to weather as guards approached. "Vance, your arraignment is coming up." Lila squared her shoulders. The system she had fought within for years was now closing around her. But they had made one critical mistake, assuming she did not have contingency plans for exactly this scenario. Steel doors clanged shut behind Lila as she was escorted to cell block D. The orange jumpsuit and slip-on shoes represented institutional dehumanization by design. The guards who knew her from countless client visits now avoided eye contact. Her cell assignment was no coincidence. She shared it with Renee Coleman, a former nurse arrested for drug possession, another case with Bennett's fingerprints all over it. "Never thought I'd see you on this side," Renee said quietly after lights out. The darkness felt safer for truths. "I didn't do this," Lila whispered. "None of us did." Renee shifted on her thin mattress. "They got Johnson. Martinez before that. Always the same. Traffic stop. Drugs mysteriously appear." Lila sat up. "All minorities. Every single one. And all of us had something in common. We'd crossed Bennett somehow." "What was your connection?" "I was an ER nurse. Treated a kid beaten half to death in police custody. Filed a report." Renee's voice hardened. 2 weeks later, Bennett personally pulled me over. Through the night, Renee described a pattern. At least 7 people framed. All cases involved Bennett or his close officers. All victims had challenged police authority. "Why hasn't anyone fought back?" Lila asked. "With what resources? From in here?" Renee laughed bitterly. "Evidence disappears, witnesses change stories, public defenders are overworked, and now they got you too." Midnight Count interrupted them. Flashlight swept the cell, lingering on Lila's face. They're watching you extra careful, Renee observed after the guards left. You must really scare them. Lila stared at the ceiling. My father was investigating Bennett. He supposedly killed himself when drugs were found in his locker. You don't believe that? Never have. Lila turned to face her cellmate. Bennett thinks he's destroyed all my evidence. He's wrong. You kept backups? Renee sounded skeptical. Better. Lila lowered her voice further. I was counting on this happening. I've been recording everything. Visitation day brought an unexpected face. Officer Julian Hale, recently transferred from Chicago PD, sat across from Lila in the contact-free booth. I don't know you, Lila said flatly into the phone receiver. I know you. Hale leaned forward. Your reputation, your father's case too. Lila's expression remained guarded. You're Bennett's officer. I'm nobody's officer except the public's. Hale glanced at the surveillance camera in the corner. I transferred here recently, been seeing things that don't add up. Like what? Evidence logging irregularities, missing body cam footage, officers with lifestyles their salaries can't explain. Hale lowered his voice. Bennett runs the department like a thief. Anyone who questions procedures gets transferred to midnight shifts in the worst districts. Lila studied him. Why risk talking to me? I'm toxic right now. Because I checked your record. Complaints filed against police misconduct, all meticulously documented, all dismissed. Hale's eyes held hers. That's not coincidence. So why are you really here? Internal Affairs in Chicago sent me. Hale's admission came as a whisper. There's a multi-jurisdictional investigation brewing. Your arrest accelerated things. The guard called time remaining? I don't believe you, Lila said, loud enough for others to hear, then softer. Prove it. Hale slid a business card across the table. My personal number. Memorize it. As he stood to leave, Lila asked, Did you know my father? By reputation only. His cases had the highest conviction integrity rate in the department. Hale hesitated. Nobody who knew him believed he was dirty. The guard approached. Time's up. Hale raised his voice slightly. Think about a plea deal, Vance. It's your best option. As he walked away, Lila palmed the card, her mind racing. Alley or elaborate trap. Either way, it was the first potential connection to the outside she had had. Courtroom 3 felt different from the defense table. Lila's wrists and ankles were shackled, the metal cold against her skin. The gallery was packed with colleagues, former clients, and press. Jade sat in the front row, her journalist notebook open. Judge Everett Lang entered, his golf tan visible beneath his robes. Lila had lost cases before him that should have been slam dunks. His country club membership shared members with Bennett's inner circle. Bail hearing for case number, State versus Vance. Lang barely glanced at Lila. Her court-appointed attorney, a former colleague named Price, looked uncomfortable. Your Honor, Ms. Vance has deep community ties, no criminal record, and is an officer of the court. We request reasonable bail. District Attorney Conrad approached the bench. Your Honor, the defendant was caught with 3 kilos of cocaine, street value over $150,000. Her position as a public defender makes this betrayal particularly egregious. She maintains her innocence, Price countered. Ms. Vance alleges the evidence was planted in retaliation for her investigations into police misconduct. Judge Lang's expression soured. Serious allegations against decorated officers require serious evidence. Counselor, evidence contained on her confiscated devices, Price pressed. We move that her phone and laptop be independently examined. Conrad interjected. Those devices are being processed as evidence of her drug network. They contain privileged client information that requires careful review. Judge Lang nodded. Motion denied. Bail is set at $1 million. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. The amount was punitive. Impossible. Your Honor, Price protested, that's excessive for a first-time offense. Ms. Vance's knowledge of legal proceedings makes her a flight risk. Given her connections to criminal elements through her work, the court has concerns she might flee jurisdiction. Lang banged his gavel. Next case. As guards let her out, Lila locked eyes with Jade, giving a subtle nod. Their contingency plan was now active. Judge Lang watched her exit, then checked his phone. A text from Bennett. Thanks, dinner at the club Saturday. The public defender's office buzzed with nervous energy. Lila's desk had been sealed with evidence tape, her files boxed for review. Colleagues whispered when Jade entered, press credentials visible. I'm doing a piece on the backlog created by my sister's absence, she explained to the receptionist. Human interest story. While interviewing Lila's supervisor, Jade noticed Detective Sullivan lingering near the file room. His nervous glance met hers before he quickly turned away. Later, alone in Lila's office, Jade carefully photographed the space, noting which files appeared disturbed. She slid a USB drive into Lila's desktop computer, bypassing the login with a password they had shared since childhood. The hard drive had been wiped clean. Outside, Sullivan watched from his unmarked car. His phone rang. Bennett's number. They're going through her office now, the sister. Did you get everything? Bennett demanded. All physical files on the key cases. Her computer was already cleaned out. What about cloud storage, email accounts? Sullivan hesitated. It says there's no evidence of remote backups. She's too smart not to have insurance. Find it, Bennett snapped. Sullivan ended the call, conflict evident on his face. A veteran with a pension close, he had watched Bennett's operation grow from petty corruption to something darker. The Marcus Vance case had crossed a line, but Sullivan had stayed silent, complicit. He watched Jade leave the building, determination in her stride. She had her sister's same fearless walk. Sullivan started his car but did not follow her. Instead, he pulled out a burner phone purchased recently and saved a number labeled Hale. The question was not if he would flip, but whether he would do it in time to matter. There's a warehouse by the old riverfront, Renee whispered during lunch. The cafeteria's clatter provided cover for conversation. Unit 17, West Side Storage. Bennett meets his crew there regularly. Lila memorized the details. How do you know this? My ex worked security there before he got set up too. Said they'd move shipments at night. Expensive cars arriving, leaving lighter. Renee pushed food around her tray. Companies registered to Clearwater Holdings. On paper, they import furniture. Lila's pulse quickened. Clearwater Holdings. That had been in her father's notes. Your father was getting close. Renee lowered her voice as a guard passed. Bennett's operation isn't just planting evidence. The cocaine is real. They're confiscating from actual dealers, then reselling it through their own channels. A distribution network using police authority as cover. Lila whispered, that's federal level RICO. My bail hearing is coming up, Renee said. If I make it out, don't go near that warehouse. Lila interrupted. They'll know we talked. A shadow fell across their table. Officer Langford, smirking. Vance, your lawyer's here. In the attorney room, Price looked exhausted. They've expedited your case. Trial date is set soon. That's impossible. Discovery alone should take weeks. Judge Lang fast-tracked everything. DA's offering a deal. 5 years if you plead guilty. Lila leaned forward. I need you to get a message to my sister. Tell her Clearwater Holdings Unit 17. Price hesitated. They're monitoring my communications with your family. Then tell her I said check Dad's fishing spot. She'll understand. Lila's mind raced. Also, I need you to request my personal effects inventory from booking. Why? Just checking they logged everything correctly. Lila kept her expression neutral, aware of cameras, especially my jewelry and watch. Price nodded, confused but compliant. What he did not know was that the vintage watch Lila wore during her arrest contained a micro SD card with encrypted files, insurance that Bennett had not discovered yet. Jade Vance paced her apartment, phone pressed to her ear. This is insane. They're rushing her to trial in less than a week. No discovery, no proper defense prep. On the other end, Price sounded defeated. Judge Lang is rubber stamping everything the DA requests. They've got her cornered. In the message, she said, check Dad's fishing spot and something about Clearwater Holdings Unit 17. Does that mean anything to you? Jade's breath caught. Yes, thank you. She ended the call and immediately pulled a battered tackle box from her closet, their father's last possession. Inside, beneath fishing lures, lay a sealed waterproof bag containing a USB drive. Jade's hands shook as she plugged it into her laptop. Password protected, she tried their father's badge number. Access denied. Their mother's birthday. Denied. Then she typed a meaningful word and the screen unlocked. The drive contained hundreds of files, surveillance photos, financial records, testimony transcripts, all meticulously organized. A folder labeled Clearwater contained property records and shipping manifests for a warehouse registered to a shell corporation with offshore banking connections. Her doorbell rang. Jade froze, quickly ejecting the drive and sliding it into her pocket. Through the peephole, she saw a delivery man holding a package. She opened the door cautiously. Jade Vance? Yes. Sign here, please. Nothing seemed suspicious. After he left, Jade opened the package. Inside was a burner phone and a note in Lila's handwriting. Activate only in emergency. 1 number programmed. Trust no one else. Jade moved to her window, scanning the street below. A dark sedan was parked across from her building. 2 men sat inside, not bothering to hide their surveillance. She texted her editor, taking personal leave. Family emergency. We'll call tomorrow. Then she called her closest friend, Victoria Shaw, ex-FBI forensic accountant. Remember that corruption story I mentioned? It's happening now. I need your help. Victoria did not hesitate. Where do we meet? Dad's cabin. Come alone. I think I'm being watched. The cabin sat outside Millfield, surrounded by dense forest. Marcus Vance had bought it for weekend fishing trips. Now it served as an unlikely command center. Jade spread her father's files across a weathered table. Victoria Shaw examined financial records while Tyler Quinn, an IT specialist and Jade's college friend, set up secure communications. These shipping manifests don't match the customs declarations, Victoria noted. Clearwater reports importing furniture, but the weight distributions are consistent with drug shipments. Tyler whistled. Your dad was thorough. GPS coordinates, dates, photos. He was building a RICO case. Until Bennett framed him and drove him to suicide, Jade said bitterly. Maybe not suicide, Victoria murmured, studying a document. Your father requested an FBI meeting the day he died. He never showed. Tyler's laptop pinged. I'm in their security system. Warehouse has 4 cameras, loading dock, main floor office, exterior gate. The screen displayed grainy footage of Unit 17. For hours nothing happened. Then 3 police cruisers arrived. Bennett emerged from the first, followed by Langford and 2 officers Jade did not recognize. They unlocked the warehouse and carried in duffel bags. Those aren't evidence bags, Victoria observed. No tags, no documentation. I'll run facial recognition on the others, Tyler said, typing rapidly. 30 minutes later, the officers exited. The duffel bags were gone, replaced with envelopes Bennett distributed. Payoffs, Victoria whispered. Can we use this in court? Jade asked. Victoria shook her head. Illegally obtained, but it tells us where to look for legitimate evidence. Tyler swore suddenly. The 3rd officer is Lieutenant Graves, head of internal affairs. Jade's phone rang, the burner Hale's number. I found something, he said without preamble. Bennett's planning a major shipment, $5 million in product, his biggest yet. How do you know? Sullivan is talking. He wants immunity, but he'll wear a wire. We need more time, Jade said desperately. Lila's trial is fast approaching. That's why Bennett scheduled it then. He'll be untouchable once she's convicted. Jade parked outside the Millfield Gazette, her workplace. The editor agreed to meet despite her leave of absence. She needed press credentials to access court records. As she exited her car, a black SUV pulled alongside. The window lowered, revealing Bennett's face. Ms. Vance? His voice was conversational. Beautiful day, isn't it? Jade's heart pounded, but her voice remained steady. Captain Bennett, fancy meeting you here? Not a coincidence, I'm afraid. Bennett stepped out, towering over her. Let's walk. They moved toward a small park across from the newspaper office, no witnesses nearby. Your sister is in serious trouble, Bennett began. Because you planted drugs in her car. Bennett chuckled. Allegations without evidence, your family tradition. His smile vanished. I know what you're doing. The cabin visits, the late-night meetings with Shaw and Quinn, the warehouse surveillance. Jade's blood ran cold. How could he know all this? Your sister is facing serious time, Bennett continued, but the DA might consider leniency if certain inquiries were abandoned. Are you threatening me? I'm offering a solution. Drop whatever you think you're investigating. Convince Lila to take the plea deal. 5 years. She'll be out in 3 with good behavior. And if I don't? Bennett's eyes hardened. Accidents happen in prison, especially to ex-lawyers who made enemies putting criminals away. A jogger approached. Bennett stepped back, professional smile returning. Consider your sister's welfare, Ms. Vance. You have until tomorrow to convince her. Bennett walked away, phone already at his ear. Jade reached her car, hands shaking so badly she dropped her keys. Inside, she found a manila envelope on the passenger seat. Impossible. She had locked the doors. Inside was a single photograph, Jade entering the cabin, time-stamped from recently. Scrawled across it, "We're watching." She started the engine, fighting panic. Instead of the newspaper, she drove straight back to the cabin. They needed a new plan, and fast. We need to find the others, Jade announced, bursting into the cabin. Victoria looked up from her laptop. What others? Everyone Bennett has framed. Renee told Lila there were at least 7 victims. We need their testimony to establish a pattern. Tyler cross-referenced names with arrest records. Marcus Johnson, arrested last year. Possession with intent. Former community organizer who led protests against police brutality. Elena Martinez, Victoria added. School teacher who filed excessive force complaint after her brother was hospitalized during arrest. All minorities, Jade noted. All had challenged Bennett or his officers, all represented by overworked public defenders, all took plea deals. By midnight, they had identified 5 victims besides Lila and Renee. All shared the same pattern. Traffic stop, drugs discovered, bail denied, expedited trial schedule, pressure to accept plea deals. Hale called with news. Sullivan confirmed the shipment. It's happening soon. $5 million in cocaine coming in, distributed to dealers quickly. Why such a rush? Bennett spooked. Lila's investigation, your team's activities, he's accelerating everything before it unravels. We need to reach the other victims, Jade insisted. Too dangerous, Hale countered. Bennett's watching them, but there's something else. The dash cam footage from Lila's arrest, it's been altered, minutes missing exactly when Langford was at the trunk. Can you prove tampering? Not without access to the original files on the department server. Victoria interrupted, pointing to her screen. I found something in your father's files. Bennett deposits significant cash quarterly into an offshore account. Been happening for years, right after your dad started investigating him. There's more, Victoria said. Days before your father died, he mailed something to a federal prosecutor. There's no record of what it contained. Tyler looked up grimly. We've got limited time before Lila's trial. Bennett's shipment is imminent. We need a decisive move now. Jade secured a jail visit with Lila, their last chance to coordinate before the trial. The visitation room buzzed with conversation, providing cover. Bennett threatened me directly, Jade whispered. He knows about the cabin, our team, everything. Lila's expression remained neutral for the cameras. They've expedited everything. Judge Lang denied all motions for discovery. Price is overwhelmed. We found Dad's files, the warehouse, offshore accounts, everything. Hale says Bennett is moving a major shipment soon. You've been talking to Hale. Lila's concern was evident. Be careful. We still don't know if he's trustworthy. Sullivan is cooperating too, wearing a wire. Lila leaned forward. Listen carefully. My watch, the one Dad gave me, they inventoried it in my personal effects. There's a micro SD card in the band adjustment hole. Bennett doesn't know what's on it. Everything. Months of recordings, photos, documents, all uploaded to a secure cloud server. Password is the date Dad died. Reversed. The guard approached. 2 minutes. Jade nodded. What about your phone? Your laptop? Decoys. Everything important is backed up, but Bennett has them now. We're running out of time, Jade said desperately. Trial is coming. Bennett's shipment is soon. It's not a coincidence, Lila interrupted. He's clearing obstacles before moving the product. As Jade stood to leave, Detective Sullivan entered, ostensibly to speak with another prisoner. He passed their table, dropping a folded note that slid to Lila's feet. Once Jade left, Lila unfolded it in the bathroom. Bennett has informants in FBI Chicago office. Hale is legit. Watch for Graves. Internal affairs compromised. They plan to move you to state prison soon, where Bennett has guards on payroll. The countdown had begun. Lila had limited time before she was moved beyond reach. The shipment was happening soon. The trial was approaching. The window for justice was closing fast. Outside the jail, Jade found her tires slashed. A warning taped to her windshield. Final chance. Walk away. Limited time until trial. Limited time until Bennett's shipment. We need the watch, Tyler insisted, hunched over his equipment at the cabin. Victoria nodded. Without hard evidence, everything we have is circumstantial. Jade's burner phone rang. Hale. Bennett's called an all-hands meeting tonight covering the shipment. I've been assigned to prisoner transport. They're moving Lila to state prison early. That's not protocol, Jade protested. Trial is at 9. Bennett's changing the narrative. High-risk defendant justification. Once she's at state, she'll disappear into the system. The call ended, leaving heavy silence. We need to move now, Victoria decided. Jade, request Lila's personal effects through Price. Tyler, we need eyes on that warehouse tonight. Already ahead of you, Tyler replied, showing a small drone controller. Industrial model infrared capable with hours of flight time. Victoria pulled out her credentials. I'm officially on leave, but these still open doors. I'll talk to the federal prosecutor your father contacted. What about me? Jade asked. Something Bennett won't expect, Victoria said. Go back to the scene of Lila's arrest. Canvass every business, every house. Someone else might have seen something. Jade drove to the intersection where Lila was arrested. The gas station across the street had a perfect view. Inside, the clerk recognized her from the newspaper, like you're that reporter, the one whose sister got arrested. Did you see what happened that night? He hesitated. Look, I don't want trouble. My sister was framed, please. The clerk glanced around, then whispered, Our security camera covers that corner. Manager told police it was broken that night, but it wasn't. He just didn't want involvement. Do you still have the footage? Company keeps backups for a period. He slid her a USB drive. I could lose my job. Jade watched the footage in her car, crystal clear. Langford approaching Lila's trunk, removing something from his jacket, planting it. Indisputable evidence of a frame-up. She called Victoria immediately. I've got it. Proof. Price arrived at the jail with papers for Lila to sign. Hidden among them, a note from Jade confirming they had the gas station footage and Sullivan's cooperation. There's been a development, Price said, for the recording devices. The prosecutor has offered a reduced plea. Lila understood the code. Playing along, she reviewed the documents carefully, then slipped Price a note with her watch's location and property storage and cloud server access details. I'll need time to consider this offer, she told Price loudly. After Price left, Lila received another visitor, Hale, conducting a pre-transfer security assessment. Everything's in place, he whispered. Sullivan is wired. Bennett's shipment arrives soon. FBI will be monitoring but can't move without concrete evidence tying Bennett directly to the drugs. Jade has the gas station footage. Hale nodded. But we need more physical evidence linking Bennett to the operation. Your recordings might help, but we need him caught in the act. There's a false bottom in my watch case, Lila revealed. I planted a GPS tracker in Bennett's cruiser months ago. Every time he's visited that warehouse, it's logged. Hale's eyes widened. That's how you knew where to look. I've been documenting his movements for months. Every traffic stop where drugs mysteriously appeared, every late-night warehouse visit, each offshore account deposit. Why not go to FBI earlier? I tried. After what happened to my father, I knew I needed ironclad evidence. Lila leaned closer. Bennett has someone inside the Chicago FBI office. Every time I approach them, arrests suddenly spike in Millfield. Who's the mole? I don't know, but everything on that SD card is also backed up to a server only Jade can access. If something happens to me, it automatically sends to every law enforcement agency and news outlet in the state. Hale stared at her with new respect. You weren't just building a case, you were setting a trap. Bennett thought he was framing me, Lila said with grim satisfaction. He actually walked right into my investigation. Early morning, Lila waited in her cell, dressed for transport. Bennett arrived personally, unusual for a police captain to oversee a routine prisoner transfer. Eager for your trial, counselor? Bennett smirked, flanked by Langford and another officer. Just eager for the truth to come out, Lila replied calmly. Bennett chuckled. Noble sentiment. Shame about the missing dash cam footage. Technical glitches happen, like the gas station camera across the street that caught Langford planting evidence. Layla watched Bennett's smile falter. Or the GPS tracker documenting your visits to Clearwater Warehouse. Bennett's composure cracked. He dismissed the other officers with a sharp gesture. Once alone, his voice dropped to a menacing whisper. You think you're clever, your sister too, but after today you'll be in state prison where accidents happen regularly. You killed my father, Lila stated flatly. Marcus got sloppy, made accusations without proof. Bennett's eyes narrowed. Like daughter, like father. Except I have proof. Miles of it already distributed to people you can't reach. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Bennett's face. Bluffing won't save you. This isn't a bluff, Royce. Lila's voice was steel. This is checkmate. The cell door opened. Price entered with Victoria Shaw. Behind them stood Assistant U.S. Attorney Ellis from the Federal Prosecutor's Office. Captain Royce Bennett. Ellis held up a document. This is a federal warrant for your arrest on charges of narcotics distribution, evidence tampering, corruption, and conspiracy under the RICO statute. Bennett lunged for his weapon, but Hale appeared behind him, gun already drawn. Don't! You're working with them? Bennett snarled at Hale. I've been working with the federal task force, Hale replied. Your operation is finished. As federal agents handcuffed Bennett, Lila approached him. My father sent evidence to the federal prosecutor days before his death. They've been building this case for years. Bennett's face contorted with rage as Lila held up her father's watch. He was recording you too. The Millfield courthouse steps teemed with press. U.S. Attorney Maddox addressed the crowd. Today marks the culmination of a years-long federal investigation into one of the most extensive police corruption rings in state history. Behind him stood FBI agents, federal prosecutors, and Lila, free for the first time in days. Jade clutched her hand as cameras flashed. Captain Royce Bennett and multiple officers from Millfield Police Department have been charged with multiple federal crimes, including drug trafficking, evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and conspiracy. The investigation uncovered a sophisticated operation that seized drugs from legitimate arrests, then redistributed them through criminal networks while framing innocent citizens who threatened to expose their activities. Footage played on news stations nationwide. Bennett and his officers led in handcuffs from the warehouse during the operation. $5 million in cocaine seized. Lieutenant Graves, head of internal affairs, among those arrested. The Chicago FBI mole identified and detained. This case began with the work of Detective Marcus Vance, who first identified irregularities in evidence handling. His daughter, Public Defender Lila Vance, continued his investigation at great personal risk, working with federal authorities to document the corruption that had infected Millfield's justice system. The charges against Lila were dismissed with prejudice. Judge Lang resigned before impeachment proceedings began. District Attorney Conrad faced disbarment for his role in the cover-up. Detective Sullivan received limited immunity for his cooperation. His testimony helped identify 7 innocent people wrongfully convicted through Bennett's frame-ups. All cases were reopened. In the precinct parking lot, officers removed Bennett's name from his reserved parking space. Inside, Hale supervised as boxes of evidence were cataloged for the federal prosecution. In a private moment at the courthouse, Assistant U.S. Attorney Ellis handed Lila a folder. Your father's original notes. He was a good man, principled. Was he murdered? Lila finally asked the question that had haunted her for years. The case is being reopened, Ellis replied, but between us, the medical examiner who ruled it suicide just had his license suspended for falsifying reports at Bennett's request. Later, Lila stood at a podium in the newly renovated Millfield Community Center. Behind her, a plaque read, Marcus Vance Justice Initiative. Today, we launch a program that will provide legal representation and support for victims of systemic injustice, she announced to the packed room. No one should face the machinery of law enforcement alone. The initiative's first clients were the 7 people framed by Bennett's operation, now fully exonerated. Renee Coleman sat in the front row. Recently hired as the center's outreach coordinator, she smiled warmly. The police department operated under federal oversight. Hale, now interim captain, had implemented body cameras, civilian review boards, and transparent evidence protocols. Applications from minority officers had increased dramatically. Victoria Shaw left the FBI to join Lila's initiative as lead investigator. Tyler Quinn developed secure communication systems for whistleblowers to report misconduct safely. Jade won a National Journalism Award for her coverage of the case. Her series Badge and Betrayal prompted investigations in neighboring counties. After the ceremony, Lila visited the cemetery. She knelt at her father's grave, now bearing a corrected headstone. Detective Marcus Vance died in the line of duty. She placed his watch beside the flowers. We finished what you started, Dad. Bennett will spend the rest of his life in federal prison. Your name is cleared. The official inquest ruled Marcus Vance's death a homicide. Bennett faced additional charges, though he maintained his innocence from prison. As Lila stood to leave, she noticed Hale waiting respectfully at a distance. The interim captain had become an unexpected ally in reforming the department. Your father would be proud, he said simply. There's still work to do, Lila replied. One corrupt system exposed doesn't fix the others. But it's a start. Lila took one last look at the grave. Yes, it's a start. In her pocket, her phone buzzed with a message from Jade. New whistleblower just came forward from county sheriff's office, says they've got another Bennett situation brewing. Justice, Lila realized, was not a destination, it was a continuing journey. If you enjoyed this story of justice and courage against corruption, don't forget to subscribe to PAP Stories for more powerful narratives that expose truth and celebrate those who fight against injustice. Hit that like button if you believe in standing up for what's right, and share this video with someone who needs inspiration today. Turn on notifications to never miss our weekly uploads of stories that matter. Join our community of truth seekers, because sometimes the most important stories are the ones that powerful people don't want told. Amplifying the voices that need to be heard.